Sitting right now in Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives that is in the eastern side of the old city, viewing the Temple Mount, viewing the old city, but viewing all of Jerusalem. I moved here 22 years ago as a single. We were just 4 singles that moved here at 1997, and this house was not here. It was just the Arab small house that we moved into after paying the Arabs to leave the house. But you should know that we returned. We were part of the redemption of Jerusalem, but at 1997, but it started already at 1886. 1886, before anyone heard about Ben Gurion or Chaim Weizmann. Herzl was not so famous. What happened at 1886? At 1886, 2 Jewish businessmen, one Moshe Wittenberg and the other Nissen Beck, they bought this land thinking that in the future this will be part of the Jewish cemetery of Mount of Olives. The Jewish cemetery of Mount of Olives today is about 100 meters from my house, right from here, from my balcony, to the north, to the direction of Mount Scopus. And they believe that it's a very old, it's the ancient Jewish cemetery in the world. From the time the time of King David, people are buried here in grave caves. Today in graves on the ground. And they believe that 1886 that this area will be also part of the Jewish cemetery. This is why they bought the land. But the Turkish, the Ottoman Empire, didn't allow Jews to be buried in the southern part of Mount of Olives, like where we are now. And therefore, because and thanks to the Turkish Empire, Jews never were buried in this plot. Later, when the British occupied Eretz Israel, including Jerusalem, and the Turkish ran away, the British continue in rejecting any request from the Jewish population in Jerusalem. Talking about those times, Jerusalem was just inside the old city, inside the walls, between the walls. And they wanted to use this area for a Jewish cemetery. The British didn't allow that to happen. So we get into 1948, when Jordan, the Hashemite kingdom, took over and occupied East Jerusalem, like also the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, so-called the West Bank. For their point of view, from Jordan point of view, it's the West Bank of the Jordan River. So they occupied all of this area, and of course Jews were not here. And just after 1967, the heirs the people that received it from Nissan Beck and Moshe Wittenberg, were able again to come back to their land that was abandoned, despite one building that was built right here illegally by an Arab that was the governor of this area, that was appointed to this position by the king of Jordan. And he built his house, of course, why not, on the Jewish land. 1997 we moved here after we paid the family of this governor to leave the house that was not belong to them. And thank God today, 22 years later, we are in a neighborhood, a Jewish neighborhood. We are not in a small house that was built 60, 70, 50 years ago. No, we are in a brand new house, modern building. 130 Jewish families living today in Mount of Olives. Jews are coming to Jerusalem and coming to Mount of Olives, not just for bad reason, for funerals, yahrzeits, to visit the graves of their close family members or friends. People, Jews, are coming to Mount of Olives today to celebrate birthdays, bar mitzvah, weddings, brit milah. It's a community, a new community it's in the first time in the history of Eretz Israel. The Jews are on Mount of Olives living and not just under the ground. They are not coming here just after 120 years. We start here new lives. For example, when my daughter was born, the first daughter, Sophia, she is now 18 years old. So a rabbi told me the Tchiyat HaMetim started. Because first time a Jew is being born in Mount of Olives. Not just being, not just coming here when he's already a body, a dead body. So this is where we are now. And it's not the end. We are all the time thinking about how to bring more Jews here. We started 4 singles, 22 years ago. And today, 130 families. And I believe in another 22 years, we will be more than 250 Jewish families. And this is part of the movement of Jewish people coming back to their homeland, coming back from the diaspora. Yes, from Canada, from New York, from Sydney in Australia, from Paris in France, London in England, coming back to Eretz Israel. And when they come to Eretz Israel, so many of them want to fulfill their dream to live in the holy city of Jerusalem, in the capital of the Jewish people, the capital of State of Israel. And I am privileged to be part of, I'm a small piece in the chain of Jews returning back to their land. If somebody will ask Nissan Beck and Moshe Wittenberg at 1886 if they were expecting that Jews will live on their land, I believe it wasn't even in their dream. Maybe at Tchiyat HaMetim, but not before. And we see so many examples of how small thing that somebody is doing in his life are so big, significant on the history of his family, of his nation. Take, for example, the grave cave of Yosef HaTzadik in Shechem. Let's start, who bought this place where Yosef HaTzadik is buried? His father, Yaakov Avinu. When he returned back after 22 years in diaspora, when he ran away from Esav, his brother, and he returned back to Eretz Israel, first thing that he do, before going and visiting his father, before even sacrificing some sacrifice to Hashem, to say thank you for returning, first thing he did is to buy a piece of land in Shechem. He was a prophet. Maybe he knew that later when his nation, his grandchildren will return back to Eretz Israel, they will bring the body, the bones of Yosef HaTzadik, and we bury him there, in the same plot that he bought in Shechem. And today, in our days, this is the only place that we are allowed to enter in the entire area of Shechem, to the grave cave of Yosef HaTzadik. Look about Hebron, Kiryat Arba. Avraham Avinu bought the land from Ephron Achiti to bury Sarah, Imenu. And the only reason why Jews stick to this place is because of Ma'at HaMachpelah. The only reason why today we have Jews living in Hebron is because of Avraham Avinu that bought the land from Ephron. That this was the anchor to the existing Jewish settlement in our days. Since then to these days, today. And here, where we are now sitting, drinking coffee, tea, looking at the best view in the world, kindergartens, we will see Jewish kindergartens here, synagogue, mikveh, everything. A Jewish neighborhood that was established thanks to two people that 1886 they decided to buy this land for a cemetery. And I think this is also a message to anyone in the world that sees this video. When you do something, you should think about yourself, it's okay, about your family, it's okay, but also you should think about how it will affect, in your way that you want to affect, the future of our nation. And this is what we are doing. This is what I'm doing at the last 22 years by bringing Jews to live in Mount of Olives, to Shimon HaTzadik, that it's in the north part of the old city, Sheikh Jarrah, the Arab called the place, to Bet Hanina, even further north in Jerusalem, and to Bet Safafa, that's in the south of East Jerusalem, and also in Gush Etzion, Judea and Samaria, Galilee, the old city of Akko, Yafo, everywhere. We should bring Jews to live everywhere we can in the land that was promised to our patriarchs, to Abraham, Yitzhak and Yaakov, and to ourselves. And it also was given to us, and we are not allowed to give any one piece of land, of this land that was given to us, to give it to anyone, because it's not really belong to us. It belongs to Hashem. We are here to work Hashem and to work it on His land. And I think that in a few days we will celebrate Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, it's Rosh Hashanah, the end of the beginning of the year for the trees. And this is maybe the most significant holiday that we have in the Jewish calendar of connecting ourselves to our land. Exactly like the tree, when you plant the tree, the roots are going down and down and down, and the tree becomes much more stronger, bigger, higher, and it can stand in front of very, very hard winds. It can give you also fruit if you take care of the tree. And this is exactly the way that we need to see ourselves, like kind of trees that are planted, or should be planted, on the ground of Eretz Israel. And as much that we will be more connected to the land, we will be more stronger and better fruits from our children, from our people, friends, government, everything. And when there will be hard winds or hard enemies, we will overcome because of the connection to the land. So sometimes it's very challenging to live here, On the way here, it's about every few months throwing stones on us, Molotov bottles, cursing when you're walking in the streets. But even so, we continue. We know how to take care of ourselves, and we also looking and believing that the police and the government of Israel will do what they need to do in order to make this life, or Jewish life, in East Jerusalem safer, and we say much more easy to be done, and not so hard like it's sometimes hard to live here. And thank God we have many of people, Jews and even sometimes non-Jews, that want to see the Jews returning back to their land, and they are helping us in the matter of they write about it. They approach their government. What are you doing to protect the Jews? They're participating in many ways. In buying land from Arabs, more and more land. It's something that it's taking a long time. Every deal, every transaction can take months, if not years sometimes. But once we succeed with one, it's affecting immediately the entire area. And it's one dot connect to another. In this way we have a chain of Jewish presence in East Jerusalem. And I'm calling anyone that sees this video, don't hesitate. Come and visit City of David, Mount of Olives, Shimon HaTzadik, the old city, of course. The entire area that belonged to us, the Kidron Valley, it's belonged to us. It belongs to anyone that want to come to visit. And if you looking about how you maybe can be part of this movement, so it's very easy, just contact us. Because there's so much to do. So much that we cannot handle everything that we have on the table. And as I said, today, after 22 years, this is one of the successful projects. From no Jews at all living here, we got today to almost 800 Jews that living in Mount of Olives. Synagogue that is being built, under construction, as you see. The only building, or the only synagogue in Mount of Olives, real synagogue. Looking at the old city, Temple Mount. You see we have here an open land area for the children. We have playgrounds. Because everything, all the facilities need to be nearby to the children living here, and also in a secure place. You see, it's a kind of a gated neighborhood. And here a friend, a neighbor, Josh.
Hi. I think it's amazing. I feel very privileged to live in such a special place in such a special time. And we are very close in the community. We're almost 1,000 Jews living in a community that is blossoming, thriving here on Mount of Olives. Most people here in Israel are unaware that there are living Jews here, let alone abroad. And we host American seminary girls every Shabbat, and we take them on tours of the area. There's such a treasure trove of Jewish history here on the mountain, so we're very excited to spread the word, and excited to be here.
You see the flags. The flags are on the old police station. There was here a police station that was built by the Jordanian Legion, by the King of Jordan, between 48 and 67. In fact, at 1942, he took this land where the buildings are. This was purchased by Jews to use it as a Jewish cemetery. Again, Jews were not allowed to build in this area. So at 1952, King Hussein decided to build these two buildings and to make here to have here a police station. At 1967, thank God, with a lot of help of Hashem, we returned here, and now Then it's become a police station, Israeli police station, the buildings. And about 10 years ago, we got to a agreement with the police. The owners of the land that was belonged to them, Jews that bought it for cemetery, paid the police to move from these buildings to another building that they built next to Maale Adumim, and then the building returned back to Jewish hands. So we have in the police station, we have 18 Jewish families in these two buildings, 18 Jewish families. As you see here, a new construction right now being done of another 18 apartments, and then there will be here, I hope, Ezra, when you come next time, you will see in this area, right here, you will see another development for 50 apartments. So we are still in the process of building more and more. At the back of the building, you see the Jewish cemetery. You see all the mountains, all the tombstones you see. This is the Jewish cemetery of Mount of Olives. At the top, behind the trees, between the trees, at the top of the Mount of Olives, you see a hotel. The name of the hotel is the Intercontinental Hotel, or the Seven Arches Hotel. That was built also at the time of the Jordan occupation of East Jerusalem, and today the hotel belongs to the Israeli government. And we have there, for example, this Shabbat, all the hotel will be occupied by Jews for Shabbat. We have in the neighborhood, we have 4 kindergartens, 4, because there are so many children, Baruch Hashem, in the neighborhood and in the around areas. So the voice, if you can hear the voice of the children, we have it 4 like that in the neighborhood. Let's see if they're here. So we are now in the present synagogue, temporary synagogue of Maale HaZeitim. You saw upstairs the new synagogue that we are now in the procedure of building it. And this is really part of the rebirth of the nation in Eretz Israel and in Yerushalayim.
והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו. והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עומד עלינו לכלותנו, עומד עלינו לכלותנו. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא יצילנו, יצילנו מידם. והיא שעמדה